I recommend you rewatch the final episode of season 1 because doing that really gives you the full context on how crazy this situation really is. I almost forgot how intense the ending of season 1 was. Like, I'm glad that they showed the final moments from the last season, but if you want the full context showing Chifuyu's death and all, I definitely recommend you watch the final episode from last season. Anyways, one thing that stuck into my head from the first part of this episode is the fact that Kizuki called Takemichi his hero.
じゃあな、俺のヒーロー。
Like, what is that all about? Like, I'm wondering, what the hell does Izuki know about Takemichi? Like, is he like the same as Naruto? Like, maybe Takemichi like accidentally saved him somehow or somewhere, or he just somehow knows about Takemichi's like time travel. It kind of does feel that way a little bit, or maybe it's just a fluke and Takemichi somehow someway like saved his ass one time during this timeline. But who else? But for real though, in the ending of season 1, who else thought that he was going back in time in the end of the cliffhanger? Some way, somehow. Like, I really thought that we are gonna find out that touching Isuki or something would send them back in time. But now we learned that Kazutoro came to save the day. And man, Kazutoro is a game changer for this timeline. Like, I'm not gonna lie, he became a Draken type character, knowing the right things to say, trying to maintain order with Tomon's original core values and everything like that. But hold on, real quick about Chifuyu. Like, he really carried this timeline. Like I'm not gonna lie, Chifuyu really been doing it all. Like, Takemichi deadass owes him. Like, he needs to save him no matter what. Speaking of Draken, he died in this timeline, which Kozutora called him their only hope. I guess that means that Draken, being the realest character in this show, never changed his ways and was probably working with Chifuyu at one point, especially since Draken was basically the person that kept Mikey morally in check. So I could kind of see how Mikey would be corrupt afterward.
あの頃のあいつらはこんな東満望んでなかった。そうだろ、竹道。そうだ。
Kazutoro's speech is more important than you think. I feel like it helped the show transition from focusing on saving Hina to saving Tomon itself, which Takemichi even changed his tone and declared himself during like the ending of this episode that he was gonna save everyone, which is nice to see. Like, it brings like a bigger picture, like a bigger mission in mind, other than looking like a simp and like saving your ex that you broke up with a long time ago. But I'm not gonna lie, going back to the Mikey stuff, I still can't believe that Mikey decided to kill all of his old friends in this timeline. It looks like the primary objective this season is to prevent the formation of Black Dragon and Tomon, as it seems to be that as basically the primary cause that changed Mikey in the first place. Seeing how Takemichi with the power of plot happened to be bowling next to one of the members when he went back in time. Now the number one question I'm thinking about is, what will be Takemichi's game plan to change the future? Because to be honest, in season 1 he was mostly just winging it really and hoping for the best. Like, when you thinking back to him trying to save Draken's life, or when he was trying to save Mikey from killing Kazutora, which really came in handy in the future, he was low-key winging most of those events, you know. He really put up a prayer and things happened to work out for the most part. But I do acknowledge that Takemichi did something. Like, his presence alone and like kind of warning people, it did affect the timeline. But I would be lying if there wasn't any luck towards that too. But I think for this season, I think he should try and attempt to have more of a game plan on what he's going to do or what he can do. I kind of give him a pass for now, especially since this was more of like a last minute have to go back in time and stuff. But I think during this season, I think eventually they need like a game plan for when he goes back in time, because like right now, since he got in contact with one of the members in the very end of this episode, I'm assuming he probably is gonna try be buddy with the guy and try to get to understand who each member is and their objectives are. Actually, I wonder if the Black Dragon members already know each other 12 years in the past, because that could also greatly impact how this season will play out.
逮捕？殺人って俺が？残念です。 竹道か。
Bro, when I saw this, let me tell you, I genuinely thought that Naruto didn't remember Takemichi at all. Like, this shit got me off my seat. But I think I'm starting to understand that the reason why Naruto remembered Takemichi when he returns from the past and no one else is probably because it has something to do with Takemichi saving him and completely changing his timeline. Because you have to remember too that he originally was supposed to die with his sister, but since Takemichi saved him, I think that's how he became part of how his powers work. Either that or it's because his child self believed Takemichi in the past when he told him about his powers, which caused them to be linked in a sense. So it's basically like the top two theories I have for why Naruto is able to remember Takemichi regardless of any timeline or any changes that have been made. You let me know what you think about that and what's the reason why Naruto is able to remember how he's able to be linked to Takemichi's powers, his time traveling powers. So maybe there isn't really much explanation, it's just plot armor, you know, maybe that's just it.
俺がヒナを殺したんだな。
Now this part right here was like the nail in the coffin, like the cherry on top, to be honest. All the emotional baggage he's trying to digest, learning about everything that's been happening during this timeline, like that right there was really the dagger for him. And to be honest, and this scene right here is the reason why I'll probably call this the best emotional start to a season, probably since Shield Hero season 1. Because if you think about it, like just like in Shield Hero season 1, if you watch the show, watch the anime, it's season 1, like he basically was in similar mind state as Takemichi in this moment, like defeated, don't really know what to do, what direction, like basically gave up in life. And I think more animes should explore into having more like hopeless situations for protagonists, because these moments are really good. Like they're so good for getting you emotionally invested into the episode and kind of feeling for the character, because man, I'm expecting this season to be way better than season 1, even though season 1 was really good. But the way this season is starting out and how this is becoming more than just saving a girl you used to have a relationship with, that's why I'll probably call this too like the best episode in Tokyo Revengers so far. Like this is probably better than any episode in season 1, and there was a lot of amazing episodes in season 1. That might be debatable since this episode is fresh on my mind and season 1, it's been a while. Like it came out the beginning of 2022, right? Like during the springtime. So you might be able to find an episode better, but I hardly doubt that you could find it that's like clearly better. Like this is definitely one of their best episodes, at least top 3 if not the best. Which leads to my final point. The main reason why this episode was so good in the first place is due to a writing concept which I'm not sure if I made up or if I heard it somewhere or anything like that. When I see anything like this where there's a lot of information that could impact the story that is like very important and greatly dictates the future of the season and everything and the future of the show in general, I like to call these type of dialogues and conversation intense dialogue, and Tokyo Adventures execute on that very well. It's basically, because if you think about it, this episode really was all just dialogue and information and Takemichi catching up on what's been going on. And I wish more animes understood that action and fight scenes are not the only way to retain the interest of their audience. Because I don't know about you, but for me, information like this that greatly impacts the story and the decisions that the characters have to make in the future is just as entertaining or sometimes even more entertaining, or I should say, I wouldn't say more entertaining, but more interesting to see than a fight scene. So I'm glad that they focused a lot on revealing a lot of information to basically set up for, because that's another thing too, what intense dialogue does, it also helps a lot in setting up for future events and make even future fights more interesting itself. So yeah man, Tokyo Adventures, this was amazing, fantastic, 10 out of 10 episode. Like based on this episode alone, I might have to like do a review for like majority of the episodes in this season, because they really came out guns blazing. Like I didn't even know that they was gonna release an episode. That's the funny part too. I just happened to go on an anime website yesterday and just just happened to see episode 1. Like, and for a moment I really thought it was like a OVA or something, but then I seen they're calling it season 2, which is crazy. But yeah, let's see what Takemichi game plan is. Let's see what he's gonna be able to do. Oh my god, one thing I used to complain about all the time in season 1, I hope he becomes competent and just a little bit more capable to handle himself in situations and not having to rely so much on other characters saving him, you know, because that did happen a lot in season 1, and that be pissing me off sometimes, you know. So let's hope he grow in that area. But other than that, I can't wait to see what more to come from this journey, and how Takemichi is not only gonna save Hina but also Toman as a whole.